Don't say anything about Jack being in the car, my mother whispered urgently, gripping my hand as the EMT checked my vitals. Please, sweetheart. One mistake shouldn't destroy his whole future. I lay there on the stretcher, my body screaming in pain, unable to believe what I was hearing. My name is Sophie Turner, and at 28, I was being asked to lie about how my brother had crashed my car, fled the scene, and left me bleeding in the wreckage. The EMT, Kate, looked up sharply at my mother's words, her experienced eyes narrowing. She'd been the first one to reach me after a passerby called 911, finding me semi-conscious in my mangled Tesla. Mrs. Turner, Kate said firmly, your daughter has multiple injuries. This isn't the time to discuss cover-ups. My father stepped forward, his voice taking on that smooth, persuasive tone he used in his law practice. We understand the severity, but surely we can handle this as a family matter. These things happen. These things happen. Like the time Jack borrowed my laptop and spilled wine on it, or when he accidentally backed into my fence and never paid for repairs. Always accidents, always excuse, always my problem to fix. But this was different. My head throbbed where it had hit the window, my ribs screamed with every breath, and my left arm hung useless at my side. Jack hadn't just damaged my property this time, he'd left me for dead. Sophie, please, my mother continued. Jack's medical residency interview is next week. If this gets out. I closed my eyes, remembering how it happened. Jack had shown up at my house, drunk again, demanding to borrow my car because his was acting weird. When I refused, he grabbed my keys anyway. I jumped in the passenger seat, trying to stop him. The last thing I remembered was him taking a turn too fast, the world spinning, and then darkness. Kate was checking my blood pressure when another EMT approached, holding something in his hand. Found this in the wreckage, he said, passing over what I recognized as my dash cam. Might want to take a look. My parents exchanged panicked glances. They didn't know I'd installed the camera after Jack's last accident with my car. Kate connected it to a tablet, and suddenly Jack's voice filled the ambulance. Come on, Sophie, stop being such a control freak, his slurred voice rang out. I know what I'm doing. Jack, you're drunk. Give me the keys. The sound of tires screeching, my scream, the horrible crunch of metal. And then Jack's voice again. Oh shit, Sophie. Whatever. I gotta get out of here. Can't mess up this interview. The sound of a car door opening and closing. Footsteps running away. Kate stopped the playback, her face grim. Mrs. Turner, Mr. Turner, I'm required by law to report suspected hit and runs. This isn't something we can ignore. My mother burst into tears. He's worked so hard for this interview. Sophie, please, we'll pay for everything. Your father will handle all the insurance. Just say you were alone in the car. I looked at my mother's pleading face, my father's calculating expression, and felt something inside me break. For years, I'd watched them excuse Jack's behavior, clean up his messes, protect him from consequences while I picked up the pieces. Your daughter has 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and a possible concussion, Kate said, her voice hard. She could have died. Is protecting your son worth risking your daughter's life? Before anyone could respond, Kate leaned close to me, speaking softly so only I could hear. The police are already on their way. Say the word, and I'll make sure they see this footage. It's your choice, but you don't have to protect someone who left you like this. I met her eyes, seeing the same fierce protectiveness I wish I'd seen from my own parents. In that moment, lying in the ambulance with my body broken and my family still trying to shield my brother, I made my decision. Show them everything, I whispered. Kate nodded, straightening up. Officers will meet us at the hospital, she announced. And Mrs. Turner, I suggest you call your son and tell him to turn himself in. Running from an accident scene is a felony in this state. As the ambulance doors closed on my parents' shocked faces, I felt a strange mix of pain and relief. For the first time in my life, someone was standing up for me instead of for Jack. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing for certain. This time, there would be consequences. The hospital corridor buzzed with activity as Detective Morris reviewed the dashcam footage on his tablet. My parents hovered nearby, their faces ashen as the reality of the situation sank in. Jack was nowhere to be found, his phone going straight to voicemail. Your son left his sister with potentially life-threatening injuries, Detective Morris stated, his tone measured but firm. The footage clearly shows him intoxicated, taking the vehicle without permission, and fleeing the scene after the crash. I lay in the hospital bed, my ribs wrapped tightly, my arm in a sling, watching my father's legal mask crack. "Detective, surely we can." "No, Mr. Turner," Morris cut him off. "This isn't something you can negotiate away. Your daughter could have died." Kate, who had stayed past her shift to give her statement, stood by my bedside like a guardian angel. She'd been right about my injuries: 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and a mild concussion. The doctors wanted to keep me overnight for observation. "We've issued an arrest warrant for Jackson Turner," Detective Morris continued. "The longer he avoids turning himself in, the worse this gets for him." My mother burst into fresh tears. "He's just scared. He's worked so hard for his medical career. Sophie, please, you can still withdraw the complaint." Before I could respond, Kate stepped forward. "Mrs. Turner, your son, who wants to be a doctor, left an injured person at an accident scene. How would you feel if he did that to one of his future patients?" The question hung in the air like a thundercloud. My mother's face crumpled as the implications sank in. My father's phone buzzed. A text from Jack. "He's at home," my father said quietly. "He wants to know if he can wait until after his interview to turn himself in." Detective Morris shook his head in disbelief. "Officers are already en route to your house. Your son's priorities seem seriously misplaced." Just then, my phone lit up with a text from Jack. "Thanks for ruining my life, sis. Hope you're happy being the perfect daughter." I showed the message to Kate, who immediately passed it to Detective Morris. "Add witness intimidation to the charges," he muttered, making notes. "I am happy," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Happy to finally stop pretending Jack's actions don't have consequences. Happy to stop being the one who always has to understand, to forgive, to cover up." My father started to speak, but I wasn't finished. "Do you know how many times I've cleaned up his messes, paid for his damages, listened to you both tell me that family protects family while I watched him get away with everything?" "We were trying to protect both of you," my mother whispered. "No," I corrected her. "You were protecting him from me, from the consequences of his actions. When have you ever protected me from him?" Kate squeezed my good hand supportively as Detective Morris's phone rang. He stepped out to take the call, returning moments later with an update. "Jackson Turner is in custody," he announced. "He was attempting to leave town with a packed bag and his passport." My parents deflated like punctured balloons, their golden boy, their precious son, caught running away like a common criminal. The carefully constructed facade they'd maintained for years crumbled in an instant. "I'll need to take your formal statement," Detective Morris told me, "but it can wait until tomorrow when you're feeling stronger." I nodded, suddenly exhausted. The weight of everything, the crash, the confrontation, years of pent-up frustration, crashed over me like a wave. "I'll stay with her tonight," Kate offered, surprising everyone. "I'm off duty now, and she shouldn't be alone." My parents looked like they wanted to object, but for once, they held their tongues. Perhaps they finally realized they'd lost the right to make decisions about my welfare when they prioritized Jack's future over my life. As they left, my mother paused at the door. "Sophie, I'm sorry, we should have." "Yes," I said simply. "You should have. Maybe now you'll understand why." Detective Morris followed them out, leaving me with Kate, who pulled up a chair and settled in for the night. "You did the right thing," she said softly. "It's not easy standing up to family, but sometimes it's necessary." I closed my eyes, feeling tears slip down my cheeks. "I just hope it makes a difference this time." "It already has," Kate assured me. "You've shown them you won't be the sacrifice they offered to protect your brother anymore. That's huge." She was right. For the first time in my life, I'd chosen myself over Jack's welfare. It hurt, but somehow, I felt lighter. As I drifted off to sleep, I realized that sometimes the hardest consequences to face aren't legal ones. They're the moments when we finally stop protecting the people who hurt us, even when they're family. 6 months after the accident, I sat in the courthouse watching Jack being sentenced. He pleaded guilty to DUI, hit and run, and reckless endangerment. The medical residency was off the table. No hospital wanted a doctor who'd abandon an injured person. "Your Honor," Jack's attorney began, "my client has shown remorse." "Has he?" the judge interrupted, glancing at the pre-sentencing report. "Because I see multiple texts harassing the victim, his own sister, attempts to flee jurisdiction, and a history of similar incidents that were handled privately. My parents shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The family's pattern of covering up Jack's behavior had come to light during the investigation, becoming part of the prosecution's case. Each revealed incident showed a clear escalation that could have been prevented if he'd faced consequences earlier. 2 years, the judge announced. 1 year to be served in county jail, 1 year suspended with mandatory rehabilitation and community service at a trauma center. Perhaps treating accident victims will help you understand the gravity of your actions. Jack's face crumpled. Gone was the arrogant brother who'd always escaped punishment. In his place sat a man finally facing the reality of his choices. Outside the courthouse, Kate waited by her car. She'd become more than just the EMT who saved me. She was now one of my closest friends. We met weekly for coffee, and she'd helped me through the difficult months of physical therapy and family drama. "How did it go?" she asked, pulling me into a gentle hug. 2 years, I replied. "He actually has to face consequences for once." My parents approached hesitantly. They changed too, though it hadn't been easy. Family therapy had revealed decades of enabling behavior, with me cast as the responsible child who had to accommodate Jack's chaos. "Sophie," my mother said softly, "we're going to visit your brother next week. Would you consider coming?" 6 months ago, this would have been a demand disguised as a request, followed by guilt-tripping if I refused. Now, there was genuine uncertainty in her voice. She'd learned she no longer had the right to expect my compliance. "Not yet," I answered honestly. "I'm not ready." My father nodded, accepting my decision without argument. "Another change. We understand. We're trying to do better." They were. Weekly therapy had forced them to confront their role in enabling Jack's behavior. They finally started acknowledging the burden they placed on me, though years of ingrained patterns didn't change overnight. Kate and I watched them leave, then headed to our usual coffee shop. The spring air was warm, carrying the scent of new beginnings. "You know what's funny?" I said as we settled into our favorite corner. "I always thought protecting Jack was about family loyalty, but real loyalty would have meant stopping him before he hurt himself or someone else." Kate nodded, stirring her latte. "Sometimes love means letting people face consequences. It's harder, but it's healthier." She was right. The past 6 months had been challenging, but they'd also been transformative. I'd set boundaries with my family, started therapy, and focused on my own healing. My ribs had mended, my shoulder regained its strength, and my spirit grew stronger with each passing day. My phone buzzed, a text from the trauma center where I'd started volunteering, inspired by Kate's example. They were offering me a position coordinating their victim support program. "They want me to start next month," I told Kate, showing her the message. "Working with accident survivors, helping them navigate the aftermath." "Taking your experience and using it to help others," Kate smiled. "That's turning pain into purpose." Later that evening, I received an unexpected letter from Jack. Unlike his previous messages full of blame and self-pity, this one was different. "Sophie, I'm starting to understand what I did to you. Not just the accident, but all of it. Every time I took advantage, every time I let you take the fall, every time I assumed you'd clean up my messes. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know when I finally get it. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, but because I hurt you." I placed the letter in my desk drawer, not ready to respond, but acknowledging the small spark of hope it ignited. Real change takes time, and while one letter couldn't erase years of hurt, it was perhaps a start. Looking out my window at the setting sun, I thought about how one moment of standing up for myself had triggered such massive changes. My brother was facing consequences, my parents were confronting their enabling patterns, and I was building a life centered on my own well-being rather than managing Jack's chaos. Kate's words from that night in the ambulance echoed in my mind. "You don't have to protect someone who left you like this." She was right. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is stop protecting those who hurt us, especially when they're family.